In our investing tips series. Before I start, I just wanted to remind you that you can sign up for our free club site with loads of free training materials. Go to behindthebalancesheet.com, and don't forget also we do investing courses for private investors. Again, you can find that on the website behindthebalancesheet.com. But let's get into it. Investing tip number 6, I'm going to talk about contingencies. And when I started talking about this one presentation I did for the ShareSoc in the UK, and I talked about contingencies, a number of people didn't know what they are. And a contingency is simply a potential event that may hurt the company that is required to be disclosed in the notes to the accounts, but it's something where there may not be an accounting entry. So to give you an example, you could be the subject of a lawsuit and somebody could be suing you for $1 billion, and you don't know whether the case will come to court. You don't believe that the customer that you built whatever construction project for has got a valid claim, and you decide that you don't need to make a provision in the accounts because it's unlikely that you have to pay that $1 billion. But you have to note in the contingencies note, which is usually the very last note in the accounts if it's an IFRS company, and it'll be disclosed in the 10K under contingencies and commitments in the accounts. So what you do is you say, this customer that we built a project for is suing us for $1 billion. We don't believe we'll have to pay. And that makes the investors aware that this risk, this potential risk, that $1 billion could be outstanding. And the reason I think contingencies are so important is that sometimes you'll find a stock which has lots and lots and lots of contingencies, which collectively are significant to the total market cap. So you don't know what the probability of these, for example, lawsuits crystallizing are, but you know that there's a risk. And if there's a lot of them and there's very big values involved, I tend to say, you know what, you're better off staying away. Because the problem with contingencies is they're very hard to value. First of all, you don't know what the likelihood of the company having to pay out is. And second of all, you don't know necessarily what that payout will be. So if you're being sued for $1 billion, there might only be a 10% chance, and you might not have to pay $1 billion, you might only have to pay 500 million. But that is an expected value of 10% times 500 million, or 50 million. But the problem is that you don't know the 10% and you don't know the 500 million. So it makes it very difficult to value. So where you have a lot of contingencies, my tip is you should generally avoid that stock and move on to something else. There's lots of stocks in the stock market. And let me just give you an example. This is the contingency note for one of the companies in the FTSE 100. You can see it's entitled Contingent Liabilities and Financial Commitments. And you can see this is the note, and actually it goes on. And in total, there's 20 pages. Now, this is a very unusual example because this particular example is BAT. And obviously, the threats, the legal suits are on the tobacco industry, against the tobacco industry, are very well known, very well documented, and relatively easier to analyze. So you've got two extremes. You've got 0 contingencies, you're safe. You've got 20 pages of contingencies, you're probably safe because you can do quite a lot of work. But when you get to that point in the middle where there's a lot of contingencies, but you don't necessarily know A, the probability, and B, the expected outcome, you should avoid it and move on to the next stock. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.